this podcast is definitely one for mums looking to create their own business. But to be honest with you, anyone who's got their own business, this lady has categorically fucking smashed it since she was 18 years old. This is a very fast and furious podcast, and you've got to listen to it. If you want to be inspired today and think, right, I need to sort myself out, this is a podcast for you. Definitely one to watch. Thanks for listening. Okay, we're here for another Tezlom podcast. And so this is another one where I've not really got to know this lady very well, but I've always had good energy from her, and I've enjoyed being around her, and we've just exchanged a few sentences really and a couple of chats. But I do think it's definitely I'm looking forward to getting to know her. So would you please do me a favour, introduce yourself and tell us all what you do?
Hello, so I'm Christina. I am the founder and franchisor at Popolo Ceramico, which is a ceramics business that specialises in capturing baby and children's hands and footprints in paint, clay and plaster.
Nah, I didn't know it was that. And you know what? So I did a little bit of research. I was trying to figure out exactly what it was. That's interesting. I love that. How and why did you start that? Come on, you need to tell me the full
Oh, my goodness, right. So basically...
How long have you had it?
So I started it in 2010 and I franchised in 2016.
So it's a long time, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically I started, you've probably heard this story before. I had my daughter.
No.
And, no, I mean the story in general, because so many women have the kids and then they want to do something else, they can't go back to work. So I had a corporate job.
It's a tricky, can we go straight into that topic?
Yeah.
It's a funny one because obviously being like an employer of people and women, it's hard because as a small business owner, you can't afford to pay them like any more than the normal maternity wage. And so like they go on maternity leave and you can't afford to pay them any more so while they're on maternity pay. So that's hard on them as it is, and generally need some extra funds. And then when they come back to work, it costs so much to go to nursery. They can't go back full. It's like that's tricky in between, isn't it?
It is.
Charlene, my missus, she's a hairdresser, and we had to put our little boys both in nursery like second month and first month. Because I think Jackson was something like a few weeks old when he went into nursery because she couldn't afford to leave the salon. Yeah. It's a hard one, isn't it? It's a tough one.
It is, and I think that's why lifestyle businesses have taken off so much, because there's so many people in that situation.
How do you fix it though?
Yeah, with a franchise.
No, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So go on, tell me a bit about. Sorry to interrupt.
It's
just such a hot topic, isn't it? It must
is.
be something that's talked about all the time between women.
Yeah. It is, and you can guarantee most of my inquiries are people who've had babies who like either can't go back to work or they want something more flexible.
Yeah.
So I started it in 2010. So I had a corporate career. I was working as project manager, and all the good projects were working away from home. Yeah. And once I had my daughter, I couldn't do it anymore. Yeah. So basically, set up. Well, I knew that there was like ceramic cafes and things like that where you could go along to, but there was nowhere particular specialised in print. And I've got sort of an art and design background. I'm quite creative. I was going to say, like, you don't just all of a sudden be like, because like you go from what corporate job was it? Yeah.
What was it you doing? What were you doing?
So, I'll take you back. I'll take you right back. So basically, when I was young, I went to art college.
Yeah.
And when I was at art college, the plan was to do art foundation and then go on to university.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was working, you're going to love this, I used to work part-time at a funeral director's. So I used to show people dead bodies on a weekend, yeah.
Wow.
I know. So, you know, if you think you're having a bad day, that was a grim job.
Wow.
So I was at art college and I was showing people dead bodies on a weekend, which was great.
Why did you
It just came up. I was supposed to be the receptionist, and then as time went on, I ended up just doing more. But to be honest, I was still really skint. And as you know, girls in Newcastle like to go out a lot, and they like to spend money on clothes. So one of my friends was...
I've been on a stag do in Newcastle. I know all about Newcastle girls.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all true.
It really is.
So one of my friends was working in the BT call centre and they were earning really good money. So I thought, well, actually, why don't I do that as well?
Yeah.
So I started working in the BT call centre on evenings, and I hated it. I absolutely hated telesales, like with a passion. I would go home crying every night. And I got to a point where I thought, you know what, I'm really rubbish at this. I'm going to art college through the day, doing this on a night, I'm working weekends. I thought something's going to give. It was awful. Yeah. And so when I sat there, I thought, right, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to really think about what I'm going to do. And there were some people I was working with who were earning like serious cash doing sales, like serious cash.
Yeah, they're doing.
And I thought, if I learn how to do this, I can give up my weekend job and actually earn some serious money. So there was no internet. So I went down to the local library, as you did, got loads of books on sales, tried to learn as much as I could. And what I did was I would go early before my shift and I would sit with the really good sellers and watch what they did. So they wouldn't come in and have a chat and a cup of coffee with Betty. They would be straight on calls. They'd be upselling every time. They'd be finding out about people. They'd be trying to sell as many products that were suitable to that person. And I started copying what they did. And it took a while, but when you're doing 100 calls a night, it doesn't matter. Very slowly, I started to get really, really good at it. So good. I was earning I was selling probably about 10 times what the average person on the team was making. And I just found something that I loved. I gave up my job on a weekend. I bought a house. I bought a car. I was going on holiday 3 times a year. It literally,
right,
that one thing changed my life.
Let me just get this clear in my head. So the job you went in, this is the BT place.
Yeah.
That you went into, you hated.
And cried every night.
What day or what made you go, I'm not going to be shit at this anymore, I'm going to find a way of being good at it?
I was at breaking point. Oh, yeah. I was doing this on a night time that I hated. I was coming home crying. I was trying to do art college through the day. And then I was showing people dead bodies on a weekend. I mean, I was at breaking point.
And so did you just say, fuck this, I'm going to go and find out how to be good at it?
I had to change my mindset. I had to think, what can I do that's going to make my life better? And the only way I could see making it better was learning sales, because those people were making shitloads of money.
Yeah,
and I thought, if I get good at this, then I'm going to change my life. I'm going to be able to be happier going into work, give up my weekend job, and actually make some serious cash.
It's good. It's good that you did that. And how old were you when you did that?
Oh, so I would have been 18.
Commendable, that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? 18 years old, just to decide to get good at something. It's there's a lesson in there, isn't there, somewhere about just even if you don't like something, getting good at it. May obviously
100%. And it's proof that you know. People say I don't like sales. I'm no good at sales.
Yeah.
I didn't like sales. I was no good at sales. Now I'm pretty good at sales because I changed. I learned.
Yeah, change your mindset. Get good at it. Now you fucking love it. Probably teach it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's so true. You know what? Like we teach people sales at our place, and they always say that, I can't do sales. I don't like doing this. And then I think it's just a case of just putting yourself through it, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's fucking 18 years. Any age is good to do that, isn't it? But that age, just to decide you're going to do it, and then that was it. You just went for it.
Yeah, I loved it. So to be honest with you, I then dropped out of art college because I was earning loads of money and I was loving what I was doing, and I got offered a sales manager's job. So I did sales management, sales training, sales coaching, did loads around sales within the company. Ended up in project management, and I was working on projects like all over the country in Dublin. And then when I had my daughter, I realised that I couldn't travel anymore. I was doing 60-hour weeks. I just wouldn't have seen her.
Can I be really pedantic and just ask you straight out? Did you, when you were having the baby, or did you plan it or not? Did you not think, I'm not going to be able to carry on to do this job or not? Or what did you think?
At the time, no. I just assumed, oh, great, I'll have this baby. It's fine. I'll go back to work. All planned out. And then actually when I had the baby, it just changed. Everything changed. I realised that I just couldn't do that. Yeah. And I didn't want to do that.
I'll be honest, I think there's a lot of women like that, isn't there? I think they go into it thinking they're going to go back to work, have the baby, and then mother instincts kick in.
Yeah.
The plans of the family that said they were going to support don't always come in.
Yeah.
And then the realisation that actually I can't carry on in my career because of those reasons, unless the husband or partner or anything jumps in and takes over in that respect.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's I think we we were spending like £2,000 a month on nursery fees trying to cover the kids, and we were just...
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, £60 a day it is for each kid. We had them in both in 5 days a week. It's just hard if you're not earning the money, isn't it? It is impossible. And if you're away all the time and the other person isn't there, it's a very difficult situation, isn't it? Should be more education on it, shouldn't there?
Yeah.
You know, for young mums.
Definitely.
So then, so you planned the baby, did you, and everything?
Planned the baby, yeah. And then had the baby, realised, do you know what? I can't really go back to doing this.
No.
So I started to think about what I could do, and I started to think about my skills. And I thought, well, actually, I'm good at sales, so that's good. I'm really creative, that's good. And I've got a really good eye for design.
Yeah.
And I was going along to a lot of like the baby. I was going to a lot of baby groups and things like that, and you'd see sort of different people coming along. And I loved pottery from when I did Art Foundation, and you didn't see anybody doing like baby prints on ceramics and things like that. So I got some ceramics. I bought a second-hand kiln, had it at home, and just started practicing. And my pieces looked pretty good, I thought. And so one of the ladies who ran the baby group, she said, well, why don't you come along and start and see if you can sell some of them? And I thought, oh, well, go on then, why not? What have I got to lose? I'm on maternity, I might as well come along. So I went along, didn't really have a clue what I was doing, didn't have any branding, didn't have anything. And that day, literally, I had a queue out the door. I couldn't believe it. I had a couple of samples and people just went crazy. I think
love that.
In an hour, I took over £500. Like, it was bonkers with no branding and no experience.
I love that, though. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was great. And I think that's when I thought, actually, this could work. If this is one event with no branding and I can take that amount of money, if I actually start to do this properly, I could make a business out of this.
I love a little bit of magic like that. It's nice, isn't it? That?
Yeah.
What a nice way to start something. So did you just start picking up the pieces from there?
Yeah, I was really lucky because it coincided that voluntary redundancy came up at work. So I thought, oh, this is great. So took redundancy, which gave me the money to set up the business initially. Yeah. And I also managed to get like space in the local pottery, which was brilliant because I didn't really know or understand enough about pottery, so I needed to learn more. I had the basics, but I needed to learn more. Yeah. And that was brilliant being down there because I was working alongside some of the North East's best potters. So I learned so much from them. Oh. And I was going to all the baby groups. And I was also spending loads of time with my family as well. So I was going getting orders at the baby groups, learning how to do it, delivering them back. And very, very quickly, it kind of started to spiral and get bigger and bigger. So that's when I started to think, right, I'm going to have to build a team now. So I took on two printers to go out to events to capture the prints. And then my best friend had been travelling in India, and she got back. She said, oh, I'm looking for work. I said, oh. And at the time, I'd found out I was pregnant again with my son. So I said, well, this is great timing. I said, why don't you come and work with me? She was a creative as well. So she came, I taught her what to do. She loved it. And that was probably the best thing that happened because it forced me to build a team. So it meant I could spend time with my kids, but also manage the business and build it as well.
It's so nice. It's like a little story, isn't it? Almost of like perfection, but built from something that was a bit of a tough place, isn't it?
Yeah.
So talk me through exactly how the classes work. So how does it work? Talk me through it.
So we essentially piggyback on other businesses. So like, for example, baby music classes, baby massage classes, all of those kind of things. We'll go along, set up a table, the group leaders will promote us, and then at the end of the class, all the mums and babies will come up and they'll order things. So it's very seasonal, works around Mother's Day, Father's Day and Christmas, which means a lot of my franchisees take a lot of time off over the summer and just do the odd event. So it works perfectly for mums who've got kids who want something flexible.
I love that. It's good that... and you've had it all this time. How many franchises have you got now?
So now we've got 65 franchise territories and 32 franchisees. We've just got into John Lewis, which is like amazing. Yeah. That's like, I've been trying to get into John Lewis for years and years and years. So
what would happen with the John Lewis? How would that work then?
So with John Lewis, what we do is we've got a point of sale stand in their nursery department. Yeah. And then what we do is we've got like a booking system. So parents can scan the QR code and book in, and we go in normally the first Saturday of every month, and parents come and we take the prints there and then deliver them back a couple of weeks later.
What do they print it on?
We've got baubles, tiles, plates. We've got a point of sale stand, and then they can choose what they want. Or we do like clay prints. And I don't know if you've seen the 3D prints where they're sort of like, you know, when you go to the dentist and they use alginate on your teeth to make moulds. Yeah. We do the same thing with babies' feet.
Oh my God!
So we make like
yeah,
we make moulds, and then like out of the moulds we make like plaster feet, and we paint them like gold and silver. They're like really, really popular.
Nice, I love it. And then you've got that's it. You're just going to do this forever now. Or you're just going to carry on growing the franchise as big as you've got no intentions to go back into the corporate world or anything like that. You're just going to keep growing it.
Yeah, keep going. The plan is one of my franchisees has gone back to Australia, so we're looking to start in Australia and go international next.
That's the perfect storm, isn't it? When that happens, when someone moves to a different country and they're already a franchisee.
Yeah, yeah.
Fucking hell, you'll blow it up, won't you?
That's the plan. So hopefully, yeah.
I love that. So, have you always lived in Newcastle?
I have always lived in Newcastle. I don't know why I've never moved away. I guess I like the city.
Yeah. Did you not? Have you ever spoken in franchise about Newcastle? People don't seem to sell a lot of franchises in Newcastle. It's a weird place.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I've never sold a franchise in Newcastle or had any inquiries in Newcastle. I have no idea why. I've been up there though. I was seeing a girl. I went to see a girl there once. Is it Middlesbrough? A bit further up in it. Is it Middlesbrough?
Yeah, Middlesbrough further down. It's a bit rougher than Newcastle.
It was rough. She was rough. But yeah, that was a different story. Not for this podcast. So, what do you talk about the corporate job? So were you like quite academic at school? Because going to university, like, were you quite academic at school? Or
I wasn't really. And to be honest, I always had a chip on my shoulder when I dropped out of art college, because the plan was always to go to university, because that's what all my friends did.
Yeah.
But actually, looking back, I think at the time I was really embarrassed when people said, "What do you do?" And I said, "I work in a call centre." Now, if somebody tells me they work in a call centre, I'm like, good on you, the amount of skills you can learn.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in sales feel a little bit like that. I did car sales when I left school, and I was always a little bit of a car salesman. I think people always be like, ooh, but then if you actually work in sales, you understand how much money you earn. It's a different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got any sisters or brothers or anything?
I do. So I've got 2 sisters and brother.
Right, it's a big family, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do they all go to uni as well?
They did. My sister's a vicar. My youngest sister, I'm really close to. Yeah.
That's mad. I've never met anyone who's got a sister. Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
And what about your other sisters?
So my eldest sister, she just works in retail, and my brother kind of just works in factory. So it's all different stuff.
So you're the only one who's going to go to uni then, were you?
I was going to go to uni, and then didn't. But looking back, you know, I was lucky because I got into the house. I got into the property ladder early on before prices went crazy and things like that. So many things happened, and actually, if I had gone to uni, would I have learned that? Would I have learned as much?
Yeah, it's mad, that, isn't it?
Like, how many people do you speak to that go to university that haven't actually done anything with it?
Everyone. No one does anything with the university degrees unless they're like a solicitor or a doctor, do they?
Absolutely. And I think if you've got a pathway where you know what you want to do and you're going to get a job at the end of it, great.
Yeah, but if it's something, it's nothing.
Yeah, my daughter's got no interest in going to university at all.
Yeah.
And actually, it depends on the person. For her, I know for a fact that getting out there and working is going to be the best thing for her, and she'll grow from that.
Yeah, so I've gone swings and roundabouts that. I was talking to, I can't remember who it was, but I think when my little lad turns 18, I might buy him a franchise.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way to get into, to learn about life, put them into a franchise. Not necessarily work for me or the business that I have at the time, but I think actually create them their own little business would be a good idea. Because I fell into my mum and dad's business, and it was great. It's been great for me. But I think also if you don't grab it by the horns, I think you could probably, as a child, going into your parents' business, I think they can be in the danger of not taking it seriously.
Yeah. 100%.
Not or in the danger of like, oh, I'm all right because it's mum and dad's business. I think my brother was a little bit like that, to be honest with you. And I think looking back in hindsight, would it have been better for him to go and do something on his own where I had the opportunity, but because I had my own business first. So I think when I had my own business first and then I got offered the opportunity to have a piece of this business, I was like, okay, I know what to do. So I think in hindsight, Tom should have had something for himself, because I think if you go straight into your parents' business and you're not determined to grasp it with both hands, might not get one.
Oh, 100%. There's no way my daughter could work for me. I love it a bit, but she just wouldn't do any work.
Yeah. How big's your team now?
So the team, sort of like the HQ.
Yeah.
Well, I learned early on, I had a really good mentor, which was Kathy Doonan, who had Rhythm Tyne.
Yes.
She was an amazing mentor to me.
Yeah.
And when I was first starting out, I didn't have a clue about franchising.
Well, this is what I'm trying to actually get into.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, how did you learn? I thought maybe in your corporate job you learned a bit about management and leadership, but now I was just trying to figure out, that's what I was trying to get into, that bit.
Yeah, so it was kind of fluke. I'd always thought, once I was growing the team, people were moving away and they were contacting me saying, I live in Scotland now, I've had a second child, can you do anything? And we couldn't. And I thought, well, actually, this really works in Newcastle, it's going to work elsewhere. So I started looking into franchising. And then just by chance, I bumped into a girl that I knew, and she'd had a Jitterbugs franchise and she just sold it. She was looking for something else to do. And she said, oh, you're thinking of franchising, why don't I be your first franchisee? Didn't have a contract, didn't have anything ready, not the way you should do it.
No.
But because she'd already had experience, we thought, well, why don't we do it? And she lived in the next town along, so we thought, well, that's great, because I can keep an eye on how she's doing and monitor her work. And so we tried that. That was 2016 for a year, and it worked really well. And it gave me a chance to get all the contracts and all the bits and pieces in place. And then it's quite funny, because I had a book on how to franchise your business by Clive Sawyer, and we decided to franchise it regionally, and people were phoning me up asking me questions saying, yeah, I'd like a franchise, what's the next step? And I was flicking at the pages of the book going, right, so the next steps are, and because I just didn't have a clue, I was just winging it. And then met Kathy, and Kathy's franchisees were great. You know, she really knew what she was doing. She'd been doing it a long time. She really helped me sort of not make mistakes. And she said, what you need to do is you need to start building your team straight away as if you've got 100 franchisees. And that was really good advice. So even now I've got quite a big HQ team because I know that as we grow, we've got those foundations in place. Yeah,
I'm exactly the same. So we've got quite a big team for the size of our franchise network, but the franchisees that we've got now get more experience, get more people touching them, you know, getting in touch with them all the time, and then the team get more experience, don't they?
Yeah.
I love that. So I was just trying to figure out how you learn that part, because it's interesting, isn't it? But I think you're like, if anyone's going to have like the true representation of one entrepreneur, like that, what you did and how you did it is like a true representation, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Just going like from the bit of, you know, realising you couldn't go back to your job, starting something from scratch, making it work, winging it.
Yeah.
Getting to franchising it, winging that. You're like, that's literally, if someone described what an entrepreneur is to me, I'd say that is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
cool.
100%. I think being a sales manager as well helped, because I've always ran my team as if it's a sales team.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the best way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah. Have you made any mistakes, do you think?
Hundreds.
Can you pick any that you made in the early days?
Oh, my goodness. Probably every mistake in the book.
Yeah.
I tried to, you know, get franchise territories without mapping software. It all went terribly wrong. I was giving postcodes to the same people. I learned early on, though. And then later on, I think the hardest bit was I bought my competitor out a couple of years back. Yeah. That was tough because I did not have a clue what I was doing. And really went in blind. So it could have turned out terribly. It actually turned out really well. You need to talk to me about this. I'm amazed by you. I love this about you. You're so unassuming. Go on, tell me about that. So there was only 2 people doing what I do. There's ceramic cafes, but they're very different. Yeah. So there's myself, who's up in the northeast, and I had a competitor, Painted Peppermint, who was down south, mainly in Essex and a little bit in London. Yeah. So she had 12 franchisees. But her husband was French, so they went to live back in France. So I got contacted by her saying, look, I'm going to be selling the business. Would you be interested? So we went back and forwards loads of times. And it was tough because I didn't have any experience of buying a business. No. She didn't have any experience of selling a business. Yeah. So it was very much just sort of... And also, I just assumed that I was going to take over this team and it was going to be great. We're going to be one big team. Essentially, when I took them over, I was going in blind. They'd never met me. I'd never met them. One day I'm their competitor. The next day I'm essentially the new franchisor. So it was really tough for them.
Yeah.
So it worked really well. It was really tough going at the start. I mean, Jenny, who I think you've been on the podcast with, one of my best friends, Jenny Dunman, who's got Tasty First Aid. She was absolutely brilliant. She was a really good sort of soundboard. She really helped me through the process because it was, it was quite a big thing buying a business. Yeah,
of course, it's massive. I've never done it, so I always find it interesting. It
was great. I think the good thing was when I took on the franchise network, I didn't steamroll at everything. I didn't say, right, this is my brand, this is how we do things, you have to do it this way. Yeah. I very much said, what's your best sellers? What works for you? What we did is we incorporated the best of what they did, the best of what we did, and we did make one big team.
Yeah. So clever, that, isn't it? I love that about you. It's really cool, that, isn't it? You just wing the whole thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's so admirable, that, isn't it? It's interesting, isn't it, when you get to know people on that level. I would never think. I would never bought a business, and I've wanted to a few times, and I've always admired people. Someone else been on the podcast who bought a business. It's just interesting how you go through that process and learning how to take them extra people on. Did you meet all the franchisees and go around and meet them all, or?
Yeah. So first thing I did when I took over the team, I sent out a webinar with all the information. Yeah. So I thought, well, that's probably a good way to do it. Then they can watch it back. It's a lot of information to take in. And
did you rebrand them all?
I didn't have to. Yeah. This was one of the risks that I took. When I actually took over the team, they didn't have to come under my brand. If they wanted to, they could stay under their brand and see their contract out. Yeah. I was lucky because all bar one came under. Right. And then eventually the last one did come across. So we were all under one brand. But I went down to Essex. We all met up. We all went for lunch. They got a chance to meet me, ask me loads of questions. So it worked out well, yeah.
Fucking hell, he's sick, that Christine. I'm shocked. I'm like, it's so good, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it could have gone two ways, because when you buy a business blind, you don't really know what you're buying. I didn't really know what her franchise network would like. Yeah. All I could do was base it on what my own franchise network would like, and how that was.
So at the time when you did it, how many franchises did you have?
I think at the time I had 20 franchises, and then took on another 12.
It's nearly double the size of your network.
Yeah.
You just did it like that. How big's your team again, head office?
In head office, so we've got myself. I've got Amy, who used to be a franchisee in Sunderland. Yeah. Amy's background, though, she was manager at Hotel Chocolat, so she did all the staff training, she did all the stock take, all of that kind of stuff. And she started working more and more for me. So now she sold her franchise and she works in head office all the time as franchise support and operations. We've got Jen, who bought my Newcastle branch. Once I got to about 10 franchises, I realised if I was going to concentrate on franchising, I needed to sell my own branch. Yeah. Jen worked as a printer for me, so it was a natural transition. And actually, don't know how this happened, but Jen's really good at design. I hate to admit it, but she's better than me at design. I designed the original Popolo font. She can actually write it better than me now. How's that possible?
I don't know. Sometimes I admire it a little bit because a little bit of leadership there, isn't there?
Yeah. And this is the thing. It forced me not to do everything myself. It forced me to delegate to other people, which really then came into itself and really helped us to grow as a business, because I could concentrate on sales and marketing. Amy was franchise support. Jen did the design. We've now got Shelley, who was part of the transition from the previous team. And she does all of the reels and that kind of stuff. And we've got Ali, who does the training. So we've got a real mix in there. And
you fucking smashed it, haven't you? I'm so admire of you. I think it's sick, that. It's so good, that, isn't it?
Well, do you know what? I thought I had quite a big team, and then I come here and I see your team. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I suppose we are a big setup, aren't we? But it's just, I just admire your story. I think it's so cool. Because the thing is, it sounds amazing, but I know the difficulties in between all that, and that's the bit that people don't always want to talk about, is the bits of like learning how to lead a team and the self-doubt and the negative talk and the down days and the hardship. And
absolutely. And there are those days.
How do you cope with all this type of stuff? Have you got any go-tos to kind of get through your days, or?
People always talk about the 5 people that you're around. I've got some really good people around me.
Yeah.
I've been with my husband over 20 years. He's a really good support.
What does he do for a job?
Sales. Yeah, so I met him whilst working at BT. He was a sales manager as well. It's quite funny because we'd been out on a few dates, and what happened was there was this guy selling the Big Issue, and he was doing it really bad. He was like, yeah, big issue. My husband went over and he said, oh, you know what? I don't want a big issue, but you're doing this all wrong. And he started to give him sales advice on how he should be selling. And I think at that moment, I thought, I'm going to marry this guy.
No way, I love that.
So yeah, he is a really good support because I'm notorious for being a bit of a workaholic. I don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
And he'll say, you really need to
calm down.
Yeah, 100%. I've got Jenny, who's great. Jenny does mindset. She's always calming me down as well.
Yeah.
I've got my personal trainer. I go to the gym every morning at 5:30. If I don't do that, it's just, that day's just a write-off. If I get up, even if I don't want to go and I force myself to go to that gym, I know that day is probably going to be a lot better than it would have been had I have not. Everything works better.
It's so true that I'd say Kay's exactly the same as that. We're both a bit like that, aren't we?
5 a.m. club.
5 a.m. club. I've not been the 5 a.m. club recently. I've just changed my habits at the minute. I've been going at 9 o'clock at night, and that also has been working for me as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like I've been swapping between the two. Sometimes I've been having to lie in and training at night, and that also works. But I've been notoriously been 4:30, 5 o'clock my whole life.
Yeah.
But yeah, recently I've changed it. I don't mind. It's actually okay doing it as long as I think you get a workout per day. It's actually all right, yeah.
Do you not find the sort of older you get, the more you get to know yourself and know what works for you?
Yeah. I've also started to let myself. So I got a PT, and because I was doing 7 days a week, I did 7 days a week training. I have done for ages, but she was like, just have a couple of rest days, and I've been allowing myself to have rest days, and it's working.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it, I'm fuming about it, to be honest with you, but it does half work. You're just having a rest day, but at the same time, I feel like exactly what you say is that if you don't do them things, it can be very difficult, and you can topple into like not feeling great, and things don't work as well. And I think that what does you train, just in the gym, or do?
Yeah, so I do boot camps. Boot camps, just half an hour a day, done and dusted, and then I get back, get the kids up, get sorted, and it just sets me up.
Yeah.
If I don't do it and I lie in, the just knock-on effect is just horrendous. The kids sleep in, it's just, things don't run, I'm behind with everything. So for me, it just works.
Yeah.
Just have to do it, that discipline.
Have you always done that? Have you always been quite meticulous about it?
Pretty much, yeah. I think, as I say, I started to realise that, if I was doing too much and I didn't have that outlet,
Even at like 18, did you start all that? Did you, when you were in the sales?
I think my dad was a real grafter. He did so many different jobs, and he was a real grafter. 12-hour days. Yeah. I've always been exactly the same. Yeah. And then being in corporate, you burn the candle at both ends. Your outlet with clients.
Would you say your dad inspired you to do that? Would you say that rubbed off on you?
100%.
Yeah, it's
absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he around when you were a kid?
Yeah. Yeah, me and my dad were really close. I mean, he passed away a few years ago, which was really tough. Yeah. Because we were really, really close.
Yeah.
But he was a real inspiration. He was a really great guy. Like, everybody loved him. He was just a really nice bloke.
Yeah.
And a real grafter.
Yeah. It's just a little one. It's always a topic that comes to mind. It's when you were a baby or when you were really young, do you remember him working all the time? Or because it's a difficult one for me. I'm like, because I work away quite a lot and I'm always working, not always being around for the kids. Did you remember that, or do you remember him just?
He did. He worked away a lot, and then my dad was about 50 when I was born, so he was a bit older. And then what happened? I think I was about 4 or 5. He pretty much nearly dropped down dead. He had a blood clot and nearly died from it, and they managed to bring him back.
Wow.
After that, he couldn't really work, and I think that really hit me hard.
Yeah.
But because of that, I got to spend a lot more time with him. Yeah. Because of that, we became really, really close.
Yeah, I love that.
And he used to do life lessons, which I now do with my kids, which I hated at the time. But that's now so important because that's made me the person that I am today.
Yeah, it's always a silver lining, isn't there? There's always a silver lining to something that's that tough, isn't there?
Yeah.
What do your mum do?
My mum had her own business, so she had a hairdresser business, hairdresser.
Yeah.
Well, but she was a one-man band. She didn't have a team around her, so she seemed to just work herself, run ragged, working for herself, doing everything, but not really making any money, just sort of ticking over.
Yeah.
And I never wanted that. That's why I always wanted to have a team. I'm like, you've got to have a team, else this is going to happen.
Well, I think you'll have seen that in your call centre job, won't you? You'll have seen that because you'll grown a team there,
yeah,
won't you?
100%.
Did you have anyone training in the call centre that kind of was an inspiration, or did you just grasp it with both hands and kind of go for it when you were 18?
I think really it was sitting with the top sellers.
Yeah.
That's what I really learned from it. If I hadn't have gone in on my own time and learnt that and really maximised every shift, I wouldn't have made half the money that I made. So learning that early on from the top sellers.
It's like, right, talking to you is like you've read a book about how to become successful and then just kind of followed it, but you've actually just fucking cracked on and done it yourself, haven't you?
I know.
It's mad, listen, talking to you, like your mum's been a grafter, your dad's been a grafter, you went into it as 18 and went off and had a conversation with yourself and said, I'm going to get a grip of this, surrounded yourself by all the top sellers, married a guy who's a sales manager, grafted your way up there, realised that you couldn't carry on. It's inspiring talking to you about it, honestly. It's nice to talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you about it. I like it so much.
Well, you too, I feel like we've got quite a lot in common.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to you about it. I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
I never expected that from this conversation today. not in a negative way, but you just don't picture how someone's life's gonna to pan out, do you? So
yeah. No, I know. I mean, to be honest, with the sales stuff now as well, I do a lot of the annual general meetings for a lot of the other franchisors.
Yeah.
And I talk about sales to their franchisees as well.
So this is creatives for you, isn't it? They don't like asking for money, do they? That's what I found. I did a Razzmatazz franchise conference.
Yeah.
And Denise was like, it's just the creatives, so they just don't always like asking for money, or they don't want to go for that side of it. I think they think profit's a dirty word, don't they? So you teach them that, yeah? Yeah,
all about sales strategy and having a strategy. I've kind of gone full circle. It's funny how things turn out, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, I do talk about sales quite a lot now and do a lot of sales talking.
Yeah. Mad that, isn't it? So admirable. Yeah, I love it. And then, so you've got, I don't even know where to go with this. So you're just going to take it to worldwide and that's it from there, really?
Yeah. See where it goes. So we've got, I've set up a couple of new businesses this year. So I've got Popolo Digital, which is like an online version of what we do. Right. And I've also got Popolo Kilns as well, because I buy and sell a lot of kilns. So I've got those on the go as well. So what I plan on doing is building sort of all three businesses up over the next couple of years.
I can't really. I'm so astounded by it's so nice to meet someone who's just like a proper entrepreneur, going through it and taking it to the next level. It's amazing, that, isn't it? Yeah. Good people around you and just keep building it. It's a proper show of we talked about in the last podcast with Jen, is like who you surround yourself with, definitely people that feed you the most information and keep you grounded, don't they? Oh, you absolutely have to. You have to have good people around you. Do you still have a coach now? Did you say you had who was that lady who was helping you out from Rhythm Time? I did, yeah. I don't at the moment, actually. I don't really have a mentor at the moment, but yeah, Kathy was brilliant. Like, I learned so much. Yeah. And I think you do. I mean, within the franchise community, I've got so many friends within the community, and we all help each other. You'll have seen yourself. Yeah. It's just such a brilliant. Are you going to go to the BFA event in October, do you think? I can't do it this year. Of course, it's Christmas, so you can imagine what Christmas is like for us. Yeah, I'll be busy. So yeah, I'm not going to be at this one, but I will be at next year. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I don't really know what else to ask you. I feel like I've just gone through this life story with you in 2 minutes. It's so good what you've done. I just want to know how you cope with it all. But if you just basically running and keeping on top of it, having a good husband, really, isn't it? Yeah, I think my problem is I do take on too much because I want to do everything. Yeah. So it is kind of just trying to slow down a little bit. Slow down a bit and just have a word with yourself. Okay, I can't really think of anything else to cover with you. I think I'm just in awe and admire what you've done. It's a massive achievement. I just think you're gonna have to. I'd love to see I would love to get you back on in 2 years' time and see what you've done with yourself, because you've smashed, haven't you? You see, it's because we're both Northern, so we talk quickly and we get through things really quickly, and then. I'm mad, that, isn't it? It's. There must be situations where you've been in it, you because I think we've grown us quite big and stuff, but day to day I don't always cope very well. Like I find it hard to run a business and grow a team. Like is there any point? How did you learn about the leadership part of it? How did you learn it because of the sales team part of it? Or?
Yeah, I think that was massive. I think because I ran a sales team for so long and I'd worked in that corporate environment, the transition for me was a lot easier than had I not had that background, because I had the structure and I had the metrics, which is really important. And even now, I'm very sort of process driven. So if I can look at a process and think, right, where can we make improvements and make it easier? Like automation now is huge. Like for us, as soon as we started to automate the process, that like really, really changed. Because
talk to me about that. What happened there?
So, for example, like the franchise recruitment process. So if somebody contacts us about like, I'm interested in a franchise, previously what we'd do is we'd send the brochure out, we'd leave it a few days, I'd give them a call. But things are different now. You've got to kind of move with how things change. Like Netflix, people love to binge watch Netflix. And it's the same with information. Where we used to drip feed it, people want to binge it. So if somebody's interested in a franchise, it's often, as I say, it's women who are maybe on maternity leave, who don't want to go back to work, want to do something more flexible around the children. And what they'll be doing is, it could be the middle of the night, and they contact us about a franchise, and what happens now is not only do they get the franchise brochure and email, and then the email automation with the next steps, they also get WhatsApp. We've started doing WhatsApp now.
Right, okay.
This has worked really, really well for us. So what happens now is they get the email and they instantly get a WhatsApp.
Where did you get this product from? Can I ask? Because I want it.
Yeah, so Jenny and I went down to we went to a marketing conference. Right. It was last November. I'm like, come on, Jenny, let's go to Brighton. She's like, yeah, what's on? So at this marketing conference, it was absolutely brilliant. We both learned so much from it. Right. And I met this guy there who had just started to do this WhatsApp follow-up. So I contacted him. I said, look, I think this is going to be really good for me, because the most important thing for me now is I'm seeing that people want the information straight away. And also what I'd seen buying the other business, I think people are very secretive about what they do. They don't want other people to sort of get all the information and copy it. Actually, in the franchise world, from what I've seen, is we've all got very, very sort of similar processes that we follow. Don't have to be as secretive. I'd rather get the information out there. So with WhatsApp, what I do is I've now got an introduction video, which is me telling people, thanks for contacting us. And I actually say from there, I tell them, this is an investment. It's not like just something you can do part-time. This is something that you have to invest in, and it's something that you can build, and it's then going to be an asset that you can either keep or sell later down the line. And what that does is that instantly gets rid of all the people there who are just aren't that interested. They're just sort of seeing what's out there. And then instantly, after they've seen the video, they can then get the brochure and they can watch the webinar. If they watch the webinar, what I then do is I say, right, at the end of the webinar, you can book a call if you're interested in going further with this. You can find out a little bit more. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this checklist. So if you are looking at another creative business, this is a checklist that you need to go through, and these are the questions that you need to ask when you're thinking about it. Like, do you want to have an independent franchise? Do you want an independent business? Do you want a franchise? Questions to ask. So even if mine's not right for them, they still get something off the back of it that's going to help them further in the future.
I love this. I want this tool myself.
It's brilliant. Yeah, really, it's absolutely...
We've got the automated email thing, so it drops in if they watch some tells and then moves on. I think it drives 5 emails to them.
We've got that. Yeah. But this, the WhatsApp, I think it's about 96% open rate.
No way.
And then you can have a look in the back and see where they got to on the process. So, for example, if I send them the intro video, I know when they've watched it. And as I say, most people binge it. So they watch the intro video, they get the checklist, they watch the webinar. Previously, would have to wait. I was running webinars once a month. Now they just get it straight away. And by the time they speak to me, they've already have had half their questions answered. And I know that they're really serious.
Is your webinars what we call like a discovery day where you talk about
it's like a discovery day, So it's got all the information. in there.
Oh, I'm going to have to pinch that idea, that's a mega idea. It's good, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do you pick your franchisees? Is you go off your gut feeling, or what's your decision-making process?
Do you know what? I think your gut feeling is really important. I have in the past taken on somebody who just wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I knew in my gut that they weren't a right fit. But me being me thought, do you know what? I can mould them.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah,
you can mould them. And of course you can't mould them.
Yeah.
And actually it worked out well because she managed to sell the franchise and moved on. But I learned a valuable lesson that if you take on the wrong person, it's not good for them and it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And you spend half of your time trying to help them and mould them into something that they're just not.
Yeah, it's so true.
So,
you absolutely nailed it, haven't you? I love that. I'm going to pinch that WhatsApp one. Write that down, Kev.
Already on it.
Yeah, we need to get that one. That's amazing, that.
Yeah. For me, though, it's like with my business being product, when we go out to an event and we actually take the prints, it doesn't end there. When the franchisees come home, see the kids, we then have to finish the products off.
Right, okay.
So there's a lot of extra work. So for me, it's really important that I find out if we've got creative people.
Yeah.
Because if you're naturally creative and you enjoy it, you'll have a cup of tea in the evening, you'll pull all the pieces out and you'll paint them up.
Yeah.
And it'll be fine. It'll feel like quite a relaxing thing to do. If you're not naturally creative, it very much feels like hard work. So it's really important for me that I find out if the person's creative or not.
Yeah, actually really creative, or they're just doing it for something to do.
Yeah.
That must be quite difficult, that.
Yeah.
So what we do is, we're the, in recruitment and with sales, we have to make sure they're quite a good communicator, or they can make calls. What we started doing is making them make phone calls on the discovery day. So they come here the night before, stay over, and then spend the whole day here. And we actually get them to do the job.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they actually come make some phone calls, send some emails, use our systems and stuff, because the two things, there's three: communication, telephone skills, and computer skills. If you kind of haven't got them, you're going to fail it anyway. So and the problem is you meet someone at an expo or you chat to them on the phone, they say, yeah, I'm good at sales. Me and you both know that that's a big statement to be saying if you're not good at it.
Yeah.
Because resilience, if you haven't got the resilience of a no, then with it very quickly, they start to fail.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to wrap it up, the podcast. I feel like I've covered everything I can. It feels like a short podcast, but it's just an amazing story. I'm so grateful for you coming on to me. It's so nice to hear your story. It'll be interesting to see where you are in 2 years. I reckon you'll definitely be in Australia, won't you?
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So good. Thank you so much for coming on.
Honestly, thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Thank you very much. Cheers.